Huh. Where to begin? Well, it's what people are thinking nowadays. It's just incredible. The things that they will do, surgically changing oneself for purposes of changing your sex, the tattoos, the all the funny looking hair, and then the actions that people take is just absolutely out of this world, bizarre. And I, it makes one sometimes quite speechless to that sort of thing. Uh, there are a lot of blaming that seems to go on with people that are looking at the boomers as being the problem, causing certain things like even sending businesses out in overseas. Um, Boomers never really had that type of influence. They were born between 1946 and 1964. My brother was born 1946. He graduated from high school in 1964. He was 17 years old. That year was the year that I'm trying to think of it, the Civil Rights Act was put into place, 1964. He was 17 years old. How would we have had any influence on that sort of a thing? 1965, I turned 10 that year. And that's when the Immigration Act of 1965 went into place. And if you'll notice, whatever is done from one president to the other, they never touch those particular acts or laws. They'll put out presidential or executive orders, and that has some influence until they're no longer president. Then the next president nullifies those and puts in another setup in place. As I grew up, I had been born from parents who, my father was born in 1911, my mom in 1917. And that, of course, makes all of my grandparents 19th century born. I did not know my father's parents, my grandparents from that side, but I did know the ones from my mom's side. And the circle of influence that they had a particular type of disposition, and attitude that does not have anything to do with the way people are thinking today. And this trend of thinking has, I think, been structured. And I'll show you why. In making comments about this, I did prepare a bit of a statement. Instead of just like trying to sneak and reading it to you, I'll just read it to you, just to begin with here. Since the beginning of this 20th century, conservatives have lost every battlefront. Free speech, the military, the universities, marriage, nuclear family, child education, the media, the government, Boy Scouts, business, law and justice, Christianity, patriarchy, immigration, the welfare state, and capitalism. And this is since 1900, which goes back quite a ways. And there's reasons for it. The reasons you could get, some of the reason, perhaps, if you look into George Carlin's, one of his last, what did you say, his concerts, maybe around 2008, you could pick up on that, the segment that would be declared as the American Dream. It's 8 to 12 minutes long, but you should watch that, because that really defines, in a big way, close. He gets close to it, and you'll notice the audience is pretty much quiet through through him speaking about it. Anyway, going on, if you can understand that one of the key ways we have declined as a society is by the collapse of the nuclear family, the attack on marriage, the rise of divorce, the decline of birth, below replacement levels, the general gender deterioration, and then these are very much constructive arguments to be had. You factor in who's behind it, the leading role in this, and you can see how it all fits together. The reasoning and arguments that some of these people put up are inherently hostile to us as a nation, as a society, civilization. This can be seen with simple logic. The first law of life is survival. The first principle of life is reproduction of your own kind. Well, people aren't getting married now, are they? And like I say, the birth rates are way below what is necessary for replacement. Evolution has determined the relevant dynamics of reproduction on a species-by-species basis. In humans, this involves sexual dimorphism and the consequent division of labor by sex. Any deviation from these will lead us further away from survival, not closer to it. By extension, any deviation from that will create a void that others will fill that do not deviate from it. So anyway, just a bit of my own statement on that. But it's people who have, things are determined by what you think. And I'll bet that what you may think may not be consistent with what's really going on. I mean, let me get into this in what I would tell you most people would probably be thinking right now. Maybe you're one of those. You may think, for example, that you are, I am, the people around you, those whom you've known and grown up with, are all citizens of what is known as the United States. That this being originated as a constitutional republic, the votes that you cast go into that balance of power. And that the taxes that you pay are then collected into what's known as the Department of the Treasury and disseminated, well, for good or for ill, to in ways that maybe you don't appreciate, or that you do. Well, all of these particular points, here's what the U.S. Supreme Court has determined insofar as the United States is concerned. The United States may be used in several senses. This is from a case that is known of as the Hooven and Allison versus Evatt, or Hooven and Allison Company versus Evatt, 324 U.S. 652, 1945. Now, I don't know what happened with that case. I'm not a lawyer, and so what really matters here is that the U.S. Supreme Court came in on this, and in that they made a statement, and what they stated had to do with the divisions of the United States. The United States may merely be the name of a sovereign occupying the position analogous to that of other sovereigns in the family of nations. It has a parameters of borders, the Canadian border, the Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, the Mexican border, and the Pacific Ocean. Its context is in international law. The second point that they make is, again, geographic. It may designate the territory over which the sovereignty of the United States extends, or federal United States, or federal zone. And that's legal context is in federal law. The third and final, they said that it may be the collective name of the states which are united by and under the Constitution. So right there, you have three different contexts, three different legal contexts for what United States stands for, or what it could mean. There is a fourth. The fourth is that it is a legal fiction, a corporation. This is established in Title 28, the federal law, U.S. Code, Section 3002, 15A. And it defines the United States as a corporation. Now, there's no way that you can be a citizen of a corporation. The only relationship you can have with it is to either be a customer or an employee. So thinking yourself being citizen, and when it is determined that you're talking about United States, what is meant by that? It can only mean one of the four. These are basic facts. I'm starting with this, and I'm going to cover some other facts regarding this, and hopefully I can be a bit more fluent, maybe not seeming quite so nervous the next time around, and I'll do that in a future video. Anyway, this is Transient Foreigner, here with you with Manu LLC. I'll explain a lot of that to you in the future as well. Good day.